come with me to spend a day in a courthouse here in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco. I am running a little late this morning, but I'm gonna take you guys with my class to sit in on some court hearings this morning. Likely won't be able to record the court hearings, but I'm gonna bring you guys along the entire day to show you guys what it looks like, how we're getting there, the whole work. So let's go.
Kearns woman already charged with forging checks from trucking company is now facing charges that she illegally billed customers of another company. Prosecutors charge Ana Garcia with communications fraud today.
Mexicanos deportados en Estados Unidos quedaron plasmados en un puente internacional en el Paso del Norte en Ciudad Juárez.
Ana Garcia currently lives in the Mexican state of Jalisco.
¿Qué le dirías a una persona que piensa que la deportación es el fin?
El fin de la discriminación, el fin del miedo.
Esta es una historia que solo verá aquí.
Zuli, este es precisamente el caso de esta joven, una mujer que vivió por años aquí en los Estados Unidos y terminó con sus 5 hijos, ciudadanos de este país, en México, un país al que dice ella no conocía.
Y se está convirtiendo en el... Me toca el corazón porque Ani se está convirtiendo en el sueño mexicano, el sueño de muchas personas de salir adelante en su propio país.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Annie GRC. I live in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco since my deportation from Salt Lake City, Utah in 2018. Currently enrolled full-time as a law student at the University of Vizcaya, and my professor is taking us to the courthouse today to sit in on some hearings. So I'm going to bring you guys on this field trip with me. Likely won't be able to record the court hearings in the context of them, but I will be showing you how to get there. I'll be showing you what the courtrooms look like. I'm running a little bit behind already. I was waiting for Uber to bring me my coffee. So the courthouses here in Puerto Vallarta are located right next to the prison. They're a little bit on the outskirts of town because obviously we live in a tourist area and nobody wants to fly in to see a big ass prison. I'm hoping one day I can give you guys a tour of a prison, but there's a lot of security measures taken whenever I've done tours, so I can only explain and narrate what I've seen and experienced. Anyway, it's supposed to be a really long day today. I brought a lunch with a tuna sandwich because he said we're not going to get any breaks. We're not allowed our phones inside the courtroom. They run a very strict program inside the courthouse. So I came prepared. I brought some lunch, some snacks. We're going to have to put all our stuff in a locker, and we'll be able to come out during recesses, which is the most that I'll be able to record for you guys, is giving you guys updates. So I brought everything. I brought a sweatshirt because he said that it's super cold inside the courtrooms. They do this on purpose so people aren't getting comfortable in there and falling asleep. And if you fall asleep, you get kicked out of the courtroom. So I did bring my Ray-Ban glasses to capture what I can for y'all. I hope you guys enjoy this vlog as I bring you along inside the courthouse with my classroom. Okay, so to get to the courthouse, we are going to go through the back of Puerto Vallarta. Some of you that have been here might recognize this is the way to the airport. The courthouse is located in Las Juntas, which most of y'all won't know what that is, but I wanted to show you what el recorrido, the tour, all the way to the courthouse. So enjoy. Not this street abruptly turning into a parking lot. Did y'all notice that? You'll be driving and then just cars park right in the front. Anyway, I'm a little bit late. I wanted to be there at 30 minutes prior. Anytime I'm going somewhere I haven't been to before and I need to scope out, I'm supposed to be there early, but this Starbucks or die first. I needed my coffee. All right, we're passing the airport. on the brand new freeway that they have been building for the last couple of years. Allegedly this freeway will get you to Guadalajara in like 2 hours. Never actually tried it myself. I've also heard it's kind of costly, but all of this here is new. These big old freeways, these overpasses weren't here before. Okay, so I'm getting close to pulling up. Oh shit, okay, here is the prison. I don't know if you can see it to my right. It's huge. Yeah, we're pulling up right now. And then the small, like you can see the guard tower off in the distance. Ah, that was the parking lot, damn it. I should have turned there. Look, I'm over here missing my turn to give y'all content. Okay, this right here, this building that I'm pulling up across is the courthouse right here. I gotta turn around and find parking. I have not yet toured this prison here. I've toured prisons in Guadalajara, in Tequila, and I have a trip upcoming to tour the prison in Querétaro. I've always wondered about this prison because my biggest question is, do they have AC up in that bitch? Because y'all know how hot it gets in Puerto Vallarta in the summer. Go. Alright, we're pulling up. It is paid parking. It's 30 pesos to park in the court's parking lot. And I'd like to file a formal complaint because the shit is a dirt parking lot that they charge you to park in. Buenos días.
Hola, buenos días.
¿Cuánto es?
30.
Listo. Gracias.
De nada, que le vaya.
Igualmente. I'm late. If you're on time, you're already late. You need to be 10 to 15 minutes early or you're late. Okay, that was my parking. My phone. Oh, okay, now I'm nervous. Okay, let me switch out my glasses and get my Ray-Bans on. I'm gonna try to get you guys as much content through the Ray-Bans. Ooh, they're dirty. Ooh. Tengo que hacer pipí. Me dio mucho nervio. 5 minutes. It's 9:55. I was supposed to. We said we were meeting here at 10, but some of my classmates are already here, and I just stress out because I feel like I'm already late if I'm not early. I'm trying to give y'all some crystal clear. Okay, we're gonna put these here. Okay, so as you can see, the parking lot is a dirt road. One of the biggest culture shocks that I've experienced so far as a law student versus my experience in the court systems in the US is how little the government doesn't invest into our infrastructure. Hola, Irene. Buenos días. ¿Cómo estás?
No te dejan pasar nada.
¿Mi bolsa?
Te dejan todo en el Oxxo.
Ah, pero
Solamente el celular. No, ni el celular. No.
¿Esto no te dejan poner en el locker?
No, solamente el suéter sí.
Pero no habían dicho que adentro iba a haber...
Hay locker.
Ajá.
Antes de entrar.
Sí. O sea, esto puede ir en el locker, ¿no?
En el locker.
Ah, ok.
Sí, pero hasta adentro no.
¿Dónde está el locker?
Ahorita adentro. O sea,
Okay.
entramos, ahorita estamos todos en una salita.
Ok.
Pero luego vamos a entrar a donde nos pasan a la sala de audiencia.
Y ahí en la sala están
Y ahí, antes de entrar a la audiencia, ahí están los lockers.
Okay, está bien. Gracias. Okay, so as I was saying, one of the biggest culture shocks is how, like in the U.S., the courthouses, the infrastructure is nice, right? Over here, the courthouses, you'll notice, are not kind of run down. Like this parking lot is a great example of it. Over there is the guard tower. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for recording if they see that I have the camera on me. So I'm trying to be discreet just to show you guys what it looks like walking up to the courthouse. My classmate just told me that we're not allowed anything inside. So I'm just gonna take my sweatshirt and hope that these Ray-Bans are my undercover glasses, just to give you guys some footage of like getting inside and all that, but we may not even be able to take these. Okay, so here's the courthouse. This is the same courthouse that was covering the really viral case of a young mother that was recently hit and killed by a drunk driver in Puerto Vallarta, and there were huge protests because the driver was not arrested or even detained. And they held a court hearing here until 1 in the morning. The judge was deliberating until 1 in the morning, chose to indict the driver, and did issue a preventative prison sentence, so he'll be in jail for at least a year. Okay, I'm pulling up on my classmates, so I'm gonna turn this off and turn on my Ray-Ban glasses. Con permiso, gracias.
Para otra, en cuanto llegue el personal.
Okay, so look. Okay, so I actually felt really sad during that hearing. It hit a lot different, the fact that I saw his kids outside the hearing, right? So I think I humanized with the story a lot. And one of the things that the judge mentioned is that the amount of drugs that he had in his possession, for at least cocaine, some of them didn't fit the legal standard for distribution. It could have been personal use. But one of the reasons why he was charged with trafficking is because they weren't able to prove that he is a cocaine addict, but they were able to prove that he was a meth addict and a marijuana addict based on, you know, blood tests that they did once he got arrested. Anyway, I was really, like, I don't know, touched by the hearing, obviously because I saw his kids outside, right? So I was able to see it with some humanity, somebody that's just likely struggling with substance abuse. Do you know how they stopped him? Like, the whole case was interesting to me because I have a personal opinion that the state usually typically seems to target people living in poverty. You know, you hear about cases in Mexico and like, oh, there's no justice, there's no this. This was such a petty, like a small time case that is all the way up here, right? He's been in prison for 9 months for possession. And so it really, and he's in there with a public defender, right? So I just saw the case as like, wow, like this is where all our resources are going. You know, this is somebody clearly with a substance abuse issue. He probably needs treatment instead of being in prison. But I saw him just like very, you know, he seemed to already know what was going to happen because they had made a deal. He took a plea deal. And so there was already like un acuerdo by the time the parties got up to the judge. And I think he understood that he was likely being released soon. But he didn't really seem like anything, you know, he just came off like he was in regular clothes. shackles. Only his feet were shackled, not his hands. And, you know, he was well-mannered to the judge and stuff. He definitely resembles his boys, right? So, I don't know, it was just kind of crazy, you know, bumping into them and connecting that case to somebody that you know in real life and seeing his kids outside that I'm sure are waiting for his release. Okay, so let me explain the case from top to bottom. I don't know if you know all the details, but he was stopped at the stadium one day by police because he was walking, he saw police, and then he abruptly turned around and started running. And that gave them probable cause to stop him. And then when they caught up to him, he smelled like MJ, so they did a search of his backpack and they found the narcotics. So when he was initially arrested and charged, he was giving a suspension of process through conditions, meaning they gave him like a deal where we will not prosecute you if you fulfill these conditions, and he was released. He violated those and took off to Aguascalientes. Then he gets arrested, and that's why they issued an arrest warrant. They arrested him somehow all the way over in Aguascalientes, brought him back, and then charged him and then stuck him with preventative prison because he had technically ran, right? And so he's been in prison for 9 months since. And now the plea deal doesn't mean he snitched on anybody. In fact, the judge specifically stated that they didn't have any evidence of anybody that helped him obtain the drugs or commit those crimes. So he was just charged with simple possession with intent to distribute. But it's not because he snitched. It was just a way to, just like in the US when they offer you a plea deal to avoid going to trial, it's the same thing that they did with him. They offered him a plea deal in exchange for pleading guilty. And then he actually, because it's his first offense, he had the right, he's entitled to have his sentence cut in half because he doesn't have any prior offenses. But the reason why they didn't do that, so technically he should have only served, you know, a lot less. But there was an aggravating factor to his crime because he was picked up at the stadium where there's children and family. And based on that, the judge, you know, said, okay, yeah, you're right. He deserves to have served all the time. Otherwise, he would have gone free today. He would have gone free today if the prosecutor couldn't explain why they hadn't given him that benefit to cut his sentence in half since he's a first-time offender. But they said, well, it's aggravated because of where we found him with the drugs. Okay, so public hearings are not as public as the US. Also, criminal proceedings aren't all public. So today, one of the hearings that I attended was for somebody that was in prison being held without bail to take a plea deal. And that was a private hearing. They weren't even going to let us in, but my professor talked to the judge. So you have to get special permission from the judge to even be able to enter the hearing. So it's a really neat experience to just kind of compare systems, you know, from my knowledge, my personal experiences with the court systems in the United States, and see how different everything is done. So in summary, we saw one person that is pretty much was given a final sentence for their crimes upon taking the plea deal, and he's going to be released any day now. And then I saw another case. The second hearing was somebody that was taking a plea in abeyance, if you will, and it was a property damage charge for some vehicles. They didn't tell us exactly what he did, but property damage, the victims were there, and they had all come up with a payment plan that he would be paying in lieu of the state moving forward with the case. And so they gave him a 6-month plea in abeyance to complete the terms of the agreement, which included making financial payments to the victims in a term of 6 months. So that's something really similar to the state's plea in abeyance. Here it's called a conditional suspension of process. The first case, it's the one that I knew. It was a friend of a friend, really, that you guys kind of heard me narrate on the voice note to my friend as I was giving her a status update. So I hope this was an educational vlog for you guys, just getting you inside the courtroom so you can see it's a similar setup. We do have a similar system to the US, similar processes. They're called different, but there's a lot of similarities between the US system and the Mexican system. So I hope you enjoyed today's field trip. I'm gonna run to get this edited and posted for you guys. If you like this type of content, make sure you like the video, subscribe. I will be showing some of the behind the scenes inside the courtroom on my member tab. So if you want to subscribe to my membership, hit the link in the description of the video, and
As always, thank you for watching.
It's like you're wrong, my baby.